Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Green White Checker TV. We've got a fantastic event planned for you this evening. The Area 51 Thursday Gen 4 Series is here. This is race number 1 of the second Thursday night series of 2023, and we are excited to bring you more oval action with this new Gen 4 car that iRacing teased and then eventually put out. It'll be the ARCA Series car if you're not familiar, but with about, I believe, 900 horsepower. So a lot of fun. Definitely throwback to maybe about 20 years ago where, I myself got excited and interested and learned about NASCAR for the first time as a young kid. And I'm sure that was, an era that you two also remember fondly, Mr. Gael Brooks. Mr. Gael Brooks. Got a copy? All right, well, one second here, some technical difficulties, but we'll get Gael up in the broadcast booth here in just a second. My name is Boomer Logan, and I am very excited to be bringing you the action this evening.
All right, so we're getting everything squared away here on Green White Checker TV. Again, apologies for the mishaps there. However, field is just rolling out of pit road now. So I'll say while we get everything squared away, going to pull up our starting grid for tonight's event. And so that's going to be Ryan Kelly on pole position here tonight by about 600ths of a second. Sorry, 6,000ths of a second over Chris Piscini. Austin Call third, Seth Gruber fourth, and rounding the top five will be Maxwell Caldwell. 5th through 10th, you've got, 6th to 10th, you got Brandon Bernhardt, Josh Laston, Todd Merkel, Carl Henderson, and Joshua Hanner. And then Eric Laurie, last of drivers to put down a time in 11th. Then 12th on back driver. Those are not playoff drivers. That's something we have to fix from last season, but no worries on that one, everybody. So yeah, Boomer, we're getting down to it to kick off the season. Some new fun cars here tonight. It's going to be exciting to see what they got in store for us tonight.
Definitely should be a great race, and apologies again for all of those technical difficulties, but we are live here, and the pace car is now pulling off of the track. And the number 13 of Ryan Kelly is going to lead the field to the green flag here through the Geico restart zone, up through the gears. We are on our way.
Yeah, a good initial start there. And you see right off the bat, Maxwell Caldwell getting a better jump than the 64 of Austin Call. He's going to peak low here, entering turn one. Progressive banking here, so that inside line is going to be very, very loose to kick things off. But so far, looks like he's holding on pretty well, and he will clear that number 64 out of 2. But here comes Austin looking to recover and return the favor here in 3.
Side by side down through turns number 3 and 4. Definitely a lot of space here at Michigan International Speedway for these cars. A lot of action for sure. Different lines you can run. Typically, the one lane off at the bottom is preferred, but there's definitely a lot of opportunities all the way on the bottom or even further up the track. So definitely have to look and see how it's going to change as this track rubbers up and how these cars take to it.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see what the lines look like tonight. There's going to be a lot of, we're obviously been really used to and kind of spoiled with the super speedway stuff where it's not a lot of strategy, but here tonight it's going to be, I think, that balance of how hard you race versus saving the tires, and then that track position. So I'm really looking forward to seeing kind of how everybody manages that. Obviously, you have a very, very different range of skill of drivers than these ones. I mean, we've got some guys who honestly I feel like should be kind of looking into road to pro. So there's going to be some very big range of the abilities. But the thing is, I feel like with these cars is it doesn't matter how quick you are. I'm definitely a mid-packer at best. And these cars just put a smile on my face every time I drive them. So it'll be fun to see how the drivers kind of come from the back to the front and see how everybody manages right now. So, close. As right now, it's kind of the Austin and Maxwell battle going on for third. They are still going at it tooth and nail.
That beautiful Pontiac in that tide ride for that 64 machine of Austin Call, side by side with that unsponsored number 94 of Maxwell Caldwell. Gonna have to get him some airtime at the front of this pack and maybe get a sponsor on that car for next week, Guile.
Yeah, he's been hounding me about sponsorship, but my painter's been a little slacking, so we'll have to get him a good looking ride there. He's had some good paint schemes over the years, and you see, yeah, he does clear. It looks like that number 1 of Chris Piscini, but again, there's no rhyme or reason right now of who will be kind of who's saving, who's pushing hard. So it'll be fun to see kind of the comers and goers over the course of this run here. Get an 80 lap race, 1 fast car available for the drivers, 3 green light checker attempts if needed. So I'll have to keep an eye and see how that goes for right now. But the one that's been making the quick moves early, it's kind of a trio of them right now. It's Sebastian Marin in that 23. And then 2 cars behind him, Brian Wang, and then that 25 of Kevin Freeze. As I expect those guys to be up front contending a lot tonight. But yeah, right now they're definitely picking their way through the field here fairly quickly. And these will be definitely ones to watch. And it'll just kind of help the other drivers. I think it'll kind of help ramp up their game because there's really no secrets. They'll let you know, hey, I'm doing this. These are the settings I use. But a lot of times it's honestly just seat time. So you see Sebastian looking under that 1 car, see if he can grab that 3rd spot here going into 3.
Yeah, side by side there as we battle. Just trying to get an action shot there of the nose of Brian Wingter. Looks like he had a photo of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. on that car tonight, but riding along board with Sebastian Marin here right now. He's going to try and send it on the way inside 94. Not quite there, but he's going to move up 9 spots now into 3rd place. And all over the bumper of the 94 on the inside. Down the back straightaway he goes. Sebastian Marin is looking to make moves, trying to get to the front.
What took you so long, T-Man?
Yeah, as they listen to the drivers right now, Maxwell's kind of poking the bear a little bit, asking Sebastian what took him so long to get up into that 2nd spot. Because Sebastian is one of those drivers. I mean, I've watched him race. He does a lot of racing, has a stream on Twitch, and very, very high I rating driver, actually about 8,100, which is an enormous I rating for those that are follow. Pretty much will guarantee him top split in a lot of races. Whereas, I mean, like I said, Boomer, I'm not sure. Oh, contact in the back there, the 01, or the one in the 09, I believe that was, or 64, I'm sorry, I believe. And, oh, that's a big shot into the outside wall for the 64.
So much faster than I thought it would.
Yeah, we're going to take a look here in a second here, but there's definitely a few things going on. Let's see if we can pull up some of that action here. Not entirely sure where. Oh, yeah, definitely the 1 car. We'll see if we can ride along with Chris Piscini there. Was having a good run at the early stages of this race. See if we can get a good view of that right here on the replay. And looks like just get a little tag there maybe from the 64 machine. Unfortunately, sends him around and it's going to do quite a bit of damage to that Austin Call machine as well. But man, definitely one of those things we're fortunate to see this in the virtual world, because that would have been a massive nasty wreck for these drivers. But they'll be checked and released very quickly from the virtual infield care center and should be able to get back out here. I believe we got 1 fast repair, if I'm assuming as usual there, Gael, so we can get these cars back out on track and keep on rolling. But that'll shake things up here within the first couple laps. We'll
yeah, and this will open up some strategy too, Boomer. And yeah, I do see the 64 on pit road. Not sure, he may have had to take a tow, but also got to mention some really, really good wreck avoidance from the field. I saw the 09 of Josh Lassen just was able to sneak underneath and get around that one, and then we had a few a little further back able to sneak by. But the thing about these cars is the nose and the rear bumpers do not line up. So you saw right there, it wasn't a bump per se, in like you might see with, let's say, a next gen or Xfinity car. It literally just lifted the rear of that 1 car, and there's just nothing he could do there. I already heard him chatting on the radio. Definitely apologies were made. I say it was definitely no maliciousness, just a different, everybody just getting in at a different point there because again, these cars, the speed they make. But what's going to be interesting here, though, is I believe we'll see the field. Actually, no, most of the field staying out here. Actually, no, I'm sorry, top 4 staying out, and from looks like 5th on back here going to hit pit road. So this is where I'm curious to see, again, tires, fuel, what the strategy is going to be for these drivers here. And it looks like it's fuel for the most part for pretty much 5th on back, at least for Sebastian, Brian, and Kevin. Yeah, seeing a lot of fuel-only stops. So we'll have to see. I think Todd Merkel may be the first to take 4 tires in the 22. So this will be fun to see kind of the comers and goers because, again, there's a limited set of tires here, 3 sets in the pits. So 4 total sets for the race, so you definitely want to kind of pick and choose when to use those tires. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no big money here. So these guys got limited stuff tonight.
Yeah, definitely going to be interesting to see. We're going to have about 4 cars here staying out. Pretty much the rest of the field grabbing, like you said, looks like at least 4 tires, or at least 2 tires and fuel. It seems like for most of these drivers, 1 taking 4 tires, but definitely way too early, I would think, to start thinking about tires, especially with how many limited sets we have here. But going to be interesting to see. That track position is going to be huge. I mean, Brandon Bernhardt and Carl Henderson were kind of mixed in the middle of the pack there, so they're going to promote themselves up to the top 5. And Ryan Kelly obviously leading pretty much every lap so far in this 80-lap contest tonight. So he'll have Maxwell Caldwell, though, to defend on the outside. And this time on this restart, or this start, unlike the initial start, Maxwell's not really going to be able to slide all the way down to the inside and try to make it 3 wide, so he'll be stuck there on the outside of the 13. But you see there, lights are off on the pace car, and we'll be going back to green next time by, Kyle.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing is that now the restart is controlled by Ryan Kelly. No restart zone in effect. So basically, once that pace car's off, Ryan has control to go as early or late as he can. Still had a little bit of issues with the restart zone giving drivers penalties and such. So we said, you know what, let's just not worry about it right now. So it's gonna be fun to see. And you see that third row, you got the Lowe's and the Nexus Lowe's cars side by side, the 23 and the 25 of Kevin Freese and Sebastian Marin. So it'll be fun to see what they're able to do. And I'll be curious to see what fuel only does. Maybe puts a little bit of weight back in the rear of the cars. Maybe it helps it rotate a little bit more. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we'll see. Usually they say
reminder,
light
leader
is
has
tight,
control of the restart here, Ryan. So basically, once pace car's off, you can.
Just be interesting to see how that'll work for some of these guys who did not take fuel. So could help them a little bit and maybe a little bit of struggle. But I apologize. We're gonna take a quick break here before we get back. We're gonna play around some sound settings. We got messed up, I think, here real quick.
Hiccups here and there that we got to get squared away, but that's all good. All the top secret things that Boomer's got going on. The behind the scenes action, but all right, so we'll see. So Ryan Kelly's waiting for that restart zone, looks like, and he's down and away. Great start for Maxwell. Those two pretty much get going right off the bat with one another. Looks like the 81 of Brandon Bernhardt gets a solid third place, but it's me, Sebastian Marin, sneaking to the inside of Carl Henderson, and now going to try to follow suit with that 81 here as well. And say also a few new names, new faces to the league. I say it's good to have Brandon over here. Very familiar with him in some other leagues, but a really nice guy. So I say it's definitely excited to have him in the mix here tonight. So it'll be fun to see how he does and kind of see what he thinks about these cars as well. And then of course some of the super speedway guys get in a change of scenery, if you will, for them with these cars and these tracks. So be a fun combo for sure.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of really cool to see all the new paint schemes. Obviously, a lot of people having fun with this ARCA Series car. Obviously, it is a Chevrolet, but that doesn't mean that you can't do some fun things with it. Obviously, we've got a Haviline scheme for the 28 of Carl Henderson there. Got the 25 of Kevin Freese with the Jimmy Johnson throwback, as already mentioned. Josh Lassen's got a team scheme, but we got Seth Groover back here in the 02 Miller Lite. The Blue Deuce is back, and lots of fun paint schemes. Got actually two Blue Deuces back-to-back, so Seth Groover and Joshua Hanner pulling off some of the old Penske rides, so it's cool to see some of these guys in some of these schemes. We got Rick Sanchez back here with the old Dave Blaney throwback, and plenty more, even a gray ghost car from James Ledford, so plenty of really great cars to watch here as we race around 80 laps at Michigan International Speedway.
Yeah, that's what's fun is with the way they opened up the cars and the continued season sponsors with these, and the manufacturers, I should say. I say you've got some Tauruses, you got some Dodge Chargers. I've seen some Ford Fusions and some of the other cars, and I mean you can go as crazy as you want. I say people make a template for anything. I've seen some drivers. There's been some Subarus and Toyota Corollas, and you can pretty much pick and choose whatever you want. Oh, Brian Wayne getting loose there on the inside. But yeah, like I said though, that blue number 2, I mean, that's an iconic paint scheme, and definitely love. Hanner's always has some good fun with those.
Yeah, it's cool to see both of the Miller Lite schemes there from Seth Groover and Joshua Hanner. So some good looking cars for sure tonight. But yeah, it looks like still we've got the biggest movers are still Sebastian Marin up 10 spots, currently back to the second position. And Kevin Freese is 2 cars back in fourth now. He is in that other 25 or other Lowe's scheme in the 25 machine, so he is also up 10 spots from his starting position. And Brandon Bernhardt's holding pretty strong here. He restarted third there. He's only back to fifth, and had a pretty solid qualifying effort up in sixth tonight. So he's only up 1 spot, but doing pretty well so far for a new league. And always cool to see, like you mentioned, his guy that we've run with quite a bit in other leagues, so cool to see that crossover to now get to broadcast Brandon and get him a little airtime. But yeah, definitely a fun bunch, and going to be a lot of fun as Ryan Kelly continues to lead this field. I believe that's every lap, all 15 laps led so far, but not if Sebastian Marin is going to have anything to say about that.
Yeah, so that's the next thing, is watching lap times. And Ryan Kelly, from when we would run the Premier Series with the Xfinity cars, and even before that with after that with the next gen cars, he was kind of Mr. Long Run. It was almost like he could whisper his tires and just barely use them, and then he'd be really, really strong on the long runs. and usually his strategy is usually pretty much spot on. So it'll be fun to see if Sebastian can get around him. Then what does he do with Ryan afterwards, and what does Ryan do with him? Does he kind of just try to keep him in his sights? Does he maybe make life a little bit more difficult, possibly? So it's gonna be fun to see how those two ride, and you can also see the very different lines that they're running. Pretty much Ryan's committed to that first seam where you see Sebastian, they're running all the way down to that yellow line. They're kind of taking the lowest approach. But again, it's a little bit less banking on that very, very bottom seam, so it does get a little tighter down there. That's why you'll usually see drivers kind of run the quote-unquote bottom line at the first seam, which you see Ryan just about a groove above right here this time. But you see Sebastian, though, he pretty much hits right on the mark there. And that's one of the things you have to compete with, is hitting your marks every time, because that's how these fast guys do it. It's just like clockwork. They just nail their spot. Where they need to slow down, where they need to get back on the throttle, where they want to position their car. And I mean, he is right there. You see him just barely touching that yellow line there with the left front fenders. He gets loose off 4. He's definitely working hard here.
Yeah, definitely. One thing I want to highlight here is the speed that you're going to see these cars enter turns number 1 and 3 at. Almost 204 miles an hour entering turn number 1. These are really great cars to watch. It's a lot of fun to see. Like I said, this car, the ARCA car that they currently run in iRacing, is a scan of actually a nationwide series car from Junior Motorsports that they have scanned in the sim, but they've bumped the horsepower up to 500, so it is about as close to a Gen 4 Cup Series car as we can get without actually scanning the real deal. As you see a little bit of a bobble there from the 23 of Sebastian Marin, but these cars are a lot of fun. You can slide these cars around so much. There's, I mean, power for absolute days, and it's just like watching the races from 20 years ago when I know you and I, Gael, were much younger, and from a kid's perspective, enjoyed watching these races.
Yeah, exactly right. It definitely brings back a lot of memories, especially when you get these guys doing the throwback paint schemes like you mentioned with the 02, the 28, the 2. A lot of fun ones there. And then you got the drivers that actually kind of have their own personal sponsors with their teams and such, like you mentioned with Brandon Bernhardt in that 81 car. Then you got guys that just have fun with the paint schemes. Brian Wang, of course, like you mentioned. So you might have to modify Ricky a little bit. So I say right now with the way the grill is set up, I feel like the teeth need to be where the grill opening is there. So you might have to move Ricky up just a little bit higher. But yeah, these guys have fun. But the one I'm watching right now is that 22 Todd Merkel. Remember I mentioned some drivers opting to take tires. I think Todd was the only one, and he is starting to take advantage of those tires. He's worked his way up into the top 10 here, and he's trying to get more here as they work in the 28 now, working the 02, and then not too far away from that the 81 and the 02.
He's
so
gonna get there, yeah.
That's the benefit of tires. But again, the thing is now for Todd is he's only got 2 sets left, so he's got to hope that the flow of this race kind of stays in his favor, and that's the risk reward of the reduced tire sets. You can't just throw on tires every time, so it makes these drivers kind of have to pick and choose when you want to have it. But up front, though, I'm going to go back and take a look, because I believe Ryan is still hanging on to that lead, but I believe it's starting to get a little tighter up front here.
We did actually have a pass there, so let's see if we can pull that back up and see how that happened. But looks like Sebastian had a good run off of turn number 4 and managed to get it through the front stretch and into turn number 1 here. We'll see how he made that pass, and looks like he just sends it back off on down to the inside, and he's going to have enough to get back to the gas sooner and clear the 13 off of turn 2.
Caution out as that was happening.
Got a caution there, yep.
And Josh Lassen in the 09, I'll have to take a look, see what occurred here.
All right, we'll take a second here. Looks like, yeah, the 09 of Josh Laston there having a bit of an issue. We'll see exactly what happened there. If we can pull him up. Oh, there he is. All right. Doesn't look like a ton of damage, but we'll take a look and see what happened here in slow motion. We already see it there sliding there.
When you see the back kicking out like that, that's never a good sign. And yeah, it just looks like just loose on exit. Might have just been the tire temps. Could have been just maybe a little greedy on the throttle. I definitely have been very guilty of that myself. And yeah, unfortunately, just a little bit of contact with James Ledford, but I don't think that's really going to hurt either of them too much. What it really does, I would say, is it's going to obviously bring the field back together, but I think strategy time again now. So I pretty much expect to see everybody who did not pit for tires to come in and take tires now. But I feel like Todd Merkel, this might be one of those situations where he may need to think about just doing fuel only on this stop to save those 2 sets, because we still got just about, we'll probably start with about what, 55 to go here, Boomer. So I'm kind of feeling like you don't want to be down to 1 set after this pit stop with 58, right now 58 to go. So
Yeah,
this
I don't think
has
you
been
do.
tight.
Yeah, it's gonna be tight for sure. I mean, yeah, it's tough because, you know, that would have probably been best for Todd if the race would have stayed green for much longer than it did. So unfortunately, I think that's going to hurt him a little bit there, knowing that he's probably the only one that has taken that first set. So everyone's going to take their first set here, and they're probably going to be able to take their next set in another, I don't know, maybe 25 laps or so, and have maybe, you know, about a 30-ish lap run to the finish. But it looks like Todd's still going to come down pit road. We'll see if he does actually take. I highly doubt he's going to take that second set of tires, but maybe he does burn
I'm
it
hoping
just to try
fuel
and,
only.
yeah, we'll see. Maybe he does take those tires just to try and stay with the pack right now, but yeah, definitely interesting pit call. Would have expected him to stay out a little bit there, but he's really the only one on a different strategy, and yep, he's getting tires on it right now. You see the car come up. No pit crews that you'll see, but you will see the cars go up and down on the left side, or the right side, and then the left side, and that's how you know that they're getting 4 tires. And the 23 of Sebastian Marin is the first car off, but looks like the 813 is going to make it to the line. The benefits of that number 1 pit stall, Gael.
Yep, number 1 pit stall definitely prevails there. Also helped Maxwell Caldwell. He was able to stay ahead of Kevin Freeze as well. And yeah, I'm looking at pit stop time, and it looks like you said, everybody's taking 4 tires and fuel. A little lengthier stop for James Ledford. I think that's just damage repairs to the right front of that car. Yeah, I can see actually. I saw the fender kind of getting pulled out a little bit. And I definitely agree with that for James. That was not enough damage to go ahead and do to use a fast repair. So I think that's the right call for him. Probably the same thing for Josh Lassen, I would expect, because same thing. I don't think that damage he had was too terrible either. So yeah, I think they should be in relative good shape. But yeah, like you said though, my concern now for that 22 car, I believe that's going to be 1 set of tires left for Todd Merkel in the rest of this race, and pretty much even if he splits it evenly, he's going to have to run almost 30 laps per run here to if he wants to split it. So
yeah, at least 28 laps per run.
Yeah.
It's gonna be well, no, yeah, because yeah, he's got to go 28 laps. So not too bad. I mean, obviously with you said 3 extra sets of tires, it's about every 20 laps. So that's reasonable. I mean, granted, definitely not terrible to have to go that far on tires. I mean, 28 laps versus the, you know, roughly 20-ish that everyone else is probably going to be on. So if he's smart and manages it, I mean, he's got good track position right now, and he should have a decent amount of time trying to stay up there. But yeah, we'll see. It's gonna hurt him, I think, the most if we don't go green to the end. But I think if we do, we'll have an opportunity to pretty much probably pit 1 more time. I think the way the fuel's going to work. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Gael, but I think that we're going to be able to pit 1 more time, and realistically, everyone will kind of be on the same strategy. But if a late caution does come out, unfortunately, that pretty much is only going to screw over Todd Merkel at this point.
Yeah, and I'm with you there. I think that is exactly what it's going to be. Is if we stay green, he's good to go. But yeah, if there's a pit stop and then a late caution, that's going to kind of throw a can of worms in things for Todd's, probably against his favor, if you will. So, however, though, up front, though, we'll see, because once again, that 13 car here of Ryan Kelly got the lead again through pit stop cycle. He is on equal tires and field. Then the rest of the field, Sebastian Marin going to restart second. Kevin Freeze right behind him, but Maxwell Caldwell's to his outside. And as Maxwell always loves these challenges, trying to step up his game. He's probably been one of the biggest drivers of getting this car and series back in business here. So if you're having fun with these cars, you can thank Maxwell a good bit for it, because he definitely did not mince words saying, I want to race these. But we're back to green as a great start by Ryan here. He's got about a car length lead going into 1.
How about we do a little crank it up here, Gael?
That sounds like a good time.
saw on that restart there, Sebastian Marin putting down that last lap, actually the fastest lap of the race so far. He's going to grab that top spot from the number 13 of Ryan Kelly, a 38.27. Most of the other drivers are in the 38 4s, 5s, 6s, and higher. So, and even that last lap, that time by running a 38.27. So, definitely some very fast laps from Sebastian Marin, and trying to see what he can do to continue to increase that lead. Now that grows to 0.3 of a second.
Yeah, so the thing is, though, of course, there's that kind of, sometimes you want to kind of wear these tires in a little bit gentle and maybe not burn them off too quickly, kind of get a lot of heat in them right off the bat. I've heard some drivers say maybe the first 10 laps or so are crucial for the longevity of the tire over the course of a run. So again, I feel like Ryan Kelly is usually a really good long run pace driver. So I wonder if maybe he's thinking, let Sebastian kind of just tear off at the beginning, let him run away a little bit, and then see if he can reel him in over the course of the long run. So we'll have to keep an eye, but man, these guys are all kicking out of turn number 4. You can see those things. And actually, last time by, Sebastian Ryan ran identical laps of 772. It looks like this time by, actually, Ryan Kelly about half a tenth quicker than Sebastian. So not running away and setting sail with it yet. So I'd say, like I said, these top 4 look like they're holding each other pretty honest there. Quickest car last time by was actually Kevin Freese there with that 728 there in that 25.
Yeah, definitely. Going to be interesting to see what kind of pace these guys are going to run. I mean, they're really just pushing this 4-car breakaway, are kind of pushing each other and seeing what they all have. You know, you definitely don't want to be in a position where you get pushed too far, being that front car of Sebastian Marin, to not have enough towards the end of the run. So really, Ryan Kelly can kind of match his pace based off the way Sebastian is running and try to manage as much as he can, but it's really hard to know how much you do need to push as the leader. But Sebastian Marin is trying to do his best there, as he has got now only half a tenth, or about 7/100ths of a second, their lead over the 13 machine of Ryan Kelly, who's back all over his bumper. But about a 4-car breakaway here. Todd Merkel kind of on an island by himself, about a second off the lead there. And then the rest of the pack is 2.5 and more seconds back. So definitely a very, very fast top 5 at the moment here after that last restart.
Yeah, they definitely kind of just picked up and ran for it. And I was about to mention we had a good little Miller Lite battle going on at round 5th and 6th, but then Brian Wang hopped in the middle of those two. So we saw the 2 and the O2 were going at it. And it's fun seeing those because they're slightly different colors, a little different blues. One's a darker blue, one's a little lighter blue, but both running the really nice looking Dodge Chargers there. Then you got Ricky Stenhouse's smiling face in between the two of them now. But you're right, though. I mean, then I look right back to Rick Sanchez, that Jasper 510 car. That's always been a paint scheme I've enjoyed. Say it's had a lot of really nice variations, too. And a good friend of mine, big Dave Blaney fan, so he'll get a kick out of seeing that car on track as well when he gets to see this broadcast as well. So, and then, of course, Chris Passini's got the Pennzoil car, but he's got the, what is that? I have to remember the name of the cartoons, Looney Tunes, but I can't remember the name of the cat and the bird. I'm out of the loop. Sylvester and Tweety Bird, courtesy of my wife.
Front, yeah, there you go. Yep, Sylvester and Tweety Bird, the Pennzoil 400 car. Definitely, even got the Winston Cup banner on it. Looks beautiful. Love to see. And this is really cool to see. Even like this is more of 2001, 2001 era. Throwback scheme, so it's actually even a different Chevy on a different style of Chevy on the body that we have for the Arca Menard series. The Arca car, this Gen 4 car with 900 horsepower, is more like a 2004 era, 2005 era maybe Cup car, which is, but again, I think it's like a 2010 Nationwide Series car from Junior Motorsports. But regardless, these cars are all sorts of yawed out. The Twisted Sister, they'd called them, the tube chassis frame. Definitely an old school handful there you got there. As the one of Chris Passini gets a little loose. You see the hands moving inside that car. These cars are plenty of fun to watch and plenty of fun to drive.
Yeah, and that's exactly it was. Yeah, I mean, like I said,
Maxwell Caldwell looked like he got up in the wall there just a little bit there, slow off the pace, but he looks like he's rolling there. Sorry to cut you off. Go ahead, Guile.
Oh no, you're good. Yeah, I'll take a closer look and see if that 94 is looking all right. Say we'll be able to probably tell through 3 and 4 on the exit, but Yeah, it kind of cost him a little bit of momentum to the rest of those top three there. It's also kind of bringing him back into Todd Merkel's area as well. And yeah, it looks like a little bit. I definitely see some scuffs on that right side there, Boomer. So he's definitely had a little bit of a visit with the outside wall, but I think just kind of needs to kind of regain his bearings, and he'll get right back at it. And I think he'll be in pretty good shape still here. And again, they do have that fast repair, but for Maxwell, I think you save that until you absolutely need it. Maybe even be worth leaving it in the garage if you don't have to use it. So, but right now, yeah, it looks like Kevin Freeze also, he's gotten around Ryan Kelly here, and this will definitely be a fun little rivalry between Sebastian here and Kevin. Both very, very talented drivers in the oval side and super speedway side. I think both of them probably want to flex their muscle a little bit at the unrestricted races here. I think there'll be definitely a little bit of a friendly rivalry between these two this season.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely with the battle of the lowest paint schemes here in Max's car with extra light on the side of the car for Sebastian Marin tonight. Definitely it's cool to see him and his teammate there. They are pretty much our biggest movers of the race so far. Sebastian Marin up 11 spots and 12 moved up for Kevin as well. Rick Sanchez actually back in 9th. We'll highlight him again. He's actually up 11 spots as well. So we got a couple guys that are really moving their way through the field and doing a good job at it so far. But appreciate Matt Wagner jumping in to say it was the Chevy Rock and Roll 400 paint scheme that Chris Cassini is running. Tony Cassini mentioned it's the guys to the park car. So definitely some beautiful paint schemes here in the field tonight. And appreciate you guys hanging out in the chat and throwing some knowledge up in the booth for us. Appreciate that.
Yeah, no, it's going to be fun to say. We see, big slide there out of turn number 2 for that 510. Rick Sanchez held on to it. That's going to allow that number 02 of Seth Gruber to sneak back around him there. And again, that's what these cars do, and that's what's fun about these cars having that power, Boomers. You can actually kind of change the way the car drives just by your throttle input, and so you may not be able to mat it right out of the turns, but have to kind of wheel into it a little bit.
Yeah, you can see how loose the 510 was coming off the corner there even, but yeah, these cars can yaw out pretty hard. The ARCA cars, even with, I think, like 400 horsepower or something like that this iRacing model is based off of, can be a handful at times. But yeah, I believe these are running about 900 horsepower, so definitely going to be pretty exciting to see these guys slide these cars around this whole season.
Yeah, say back up front right now, the 25 and 13, they've just gotten side by side with one another again here, going for that second position. They don't want to fight too long, so that's going to allow Sebastian to sneak a little bit further away and let him kind of manage his stuff, maybe manage the gap as well. Because actually next time by, we're going to hit the halfway mark here with 40 to go at the line of this 80-lap race here tonight. You see Ryan got the spot, but now it looks like the 25 trying to cross him over. These guys having a really good fight for second. But while they're doing that, it's just allowing Sebastian about 0.2 of a second last time by to sneak away.
Yeah, definitely gives him an opportunity to try and increase that lead now almost a second ahead of these guys, and definitely bodes well to see them just running side by side because they're going to battle pretty hard here, and Sebastian's just going to kind of check out a little bit and see what he can do to continue to pick off these laps led. Now, just mentioned Gael just over halfway here, completed of our 80 laps on the schedule tonight.
Yeah, and also looking around trying to find teammates and friends, and I see the 1 and the 2 right next to each other here. Chris Passini, Josh Hanner, very familiar with one another, so it's always fun when you get to race your buddies, and say it kind of gives that little extra incentive as well to try to catch your friends and your teammates and get back around them. So definitely seeing that too. I think maybe save the stuff a little bit, maybe starting to close back the gap. But you got just kind of those little couple packs of cars there. We talked about that top 4 or so being in that little bracket. Now you've got the 05, the 22 right there as well, the 1 and the 2. And then just go teeny bit further back. Seth's kind of in his own little pocket here. But then you got the 48 there, the 09, the 28. They're kind of all right together there. Ed Williams in the 65 car, not too far out of the mix there as well. So, and again, a lot of these drivers, this is kind of new for them. A lot of these Thursday drivers are used to the Super Speedway Truck Series. I watched Bob Fitzgerald get loose off of 2 as well there. It's a new thing. But what I love is these guys are up for the challenge. They want to try it. Do something a little challenging. I hear Kevin Freeze chiming up. Sounds like someone maybe got a little loose in front of him. Probably Ryan Kelly, I have a feeling. So I'm going to take a look at a 4. And, oh, yeah, he had a big bubble out of 4 there.
Yeah, we've got a little bit of pit strategy so far. Rick Sanchez has actually made his pit stop, so I'm assuming that was only within about 20 laps, so don't know if he had an issue there and had to come down to pit road, but that's only about 20 laps into that run, so looks like he's going to try and split this in another 20 laps, so he's going to have the freshest tires. He's going to be, looks like 1 lap down right now, but he's going to try and probably, looks like, do another pit stop in about 20 laps and have fresh tires, maybe stretch one more pit cycle, and he'll probably want to check it the next time he completes a full lap, but I'm assuming he is going to be pretty fast compared to the field, so we'll have to keep an eye on that and see if everybody else is. I'm assuming most of the rest of the field is probably going to pit only one more time around lap 50 or so, split it into about 2 30-lap stages. But now they take it back. Eric Laurie is actually on pit road now too, so he's going to split this also into 3 segments after our last caution there. So we'll have to wait and see, as he's going to lose a lap here to Sebastian Marin as well. Definitely a bit of a split strategy, and I'm all here for it, Gael.
Yeah, no, you haven't loved to see them shake it up, and I think Eric's was also a little bit of damage. He had some pretty decent right front damage, so I think probably some contact with the outside wall at one point in this race. So I think that's what kind of prompted Eric to hit pit road. He also was able to put that faster pair to good use there for him. But yeah, and same thing too. I mean, if you start getting to a point where you're just not comfortable with the car, it's probably in your better interest, like you said, to go ahead and do that split strategy. I'm waiting to see what the lap times start to look like, because right now they're running about 2 seconds slower than their fastest lap. So definitely some fall off to be said on that one.
Yeah.
The problem for Rick is just having to work traffic to try to get these clean, quick laps. Although last time by he was a 38.8 compared to a 40.2. So yeah, definitely significantly faster. This time by a 39.1 to Sebastian's 40.2 , so over a second quicker.
Yeah, definitely. So, we'll have to watch and see if this actually works. Eric Laurie's kind of on the same strategy, but he's about 20 seconds behind Rick Sanchez. So Rick's going to move up through the field here probably pretty quickly and get his lap back naturally. So I don't know. We'll see. I think after the next pit cycle, they might even out. He may actually come out ahead just from this severe undercut of the leaders, but we'll have to wait and see how that goes for him, and I'm excited to see someone try it.
Yeah, so I'll be curious to see. Yeah, and the other question would be, maybe once someone's in their fuel window to make it to the end, maybe they do try short pitting to try to see, like I said, do that undercut on Sebastian, because he's been able to stretch it out to about a 2-second lead here. Looks like Seth Gruber, the next of those to hit pit road in the 02 car, and he's hitting pit road with about 34 to go for him. So I feel like they've gone about 24 laps here so far in this run, so I'm thinking that this is in the window to make it to the end. They do run full fuel here, no reduced tanks or anything like that, so I'm thinking this is probably a, hey, I can make it from here. I'm going to try to put these new tires on earlier and maybe see if we get that timely caution towards the end. However, if I'm a driver like the 22 of Todd Merkel, I think you run this out to the absolute end and then pit, because at that point you have no more tires left in the kind of in your garage. So I think for Todd, he probably should try to run this long if he can.
Yeah, we'll see if that is the call or not, but a little bit of a split strategy so far. We've only had 3 drivers now make a pit stop after that last caution. Rick Sanchez definitely making his way up through the field, as now he is even with Brian Wang in the 05 machine in the 5th position right now. So pretty soon Rick Sanchez will definitely be getting that lap back. He's still about a second faster than the rest of the pack, so we'll have to wait and see if that eventually evens out or if the leaders continue to fall off. But as I say that, looks like Chris Piscini is also taking his, I would assume, definitely his last stop. I don't think he would have to turn to come down and do any more, get any more service to that number 1 Pennzoil machine. But we'll have to wait and see, and hopefully that's, like you said, just that big undercut that Seth Gruber's also trying, and see if it works out for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely worth the gamble here, especially depending where you were in traffic. It also, you get in and maybe be able to kind of manage your pace a little bit better and not have to stress about all those other guys around you. And then you can set your own pace instead of being kind of just forced to do what the other guys are doing, as Chris looks like he's just rolling out of pit road now. But yeah, so right now, though, still Sebastian Marin, he's about 2.5 seconds up. It looks like, I think it's just a lot of, right now, that fight right now between Kevin and Ryan here, these two just don't want to either of them want to give up that spot, and I feel like that might be hampering them a little bit. But again, at the same time, I have a feeling both these guys probably big smiles behind the wheels as they're fighting as hard as they are for that spot here. So that's kind of what I enjoy about these cars.
Yeah, absolutely. I think these guys are enjoying every bit of this for sure. I think. I mean, it'd be interesting to see if they weren't battling side by side like this, what it would do to the lead that Sebastian Marin has if they could cut into that a little bit more. But they're almost 3 seconds off of Sebastian Marin now, so they're kind of on their own island, and at this point they're really just racing each other to continue to try and stay in second, or that battle for second place, I should say.
Yeah, like you said, we're about to hit that midway point through this fuel run as well. Here's again, you see Kevin down on the inside of Ryan here. I'm trying to see. I always will look to see if anybody's going to maybe try to start wowing it up at a 3. Big ball by that 13. But like I said, here comes that 510 though. Richard Sanchez, he's going to continue to gain on these guys, especially while they battle like they will. Looks like Kevin's going to clear Ryan now entering turn number 1. And look how much more speed that 510 can carry crazy into 1.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, this is now, Richard's got 10 laps on his tires here. These guys are at about 30 laps. Oh, no. Contact out of turn 2.
Oh, man, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, and I think it was just, I think they, like, Ryan had a bobble out of turn 2, and they really kind of just met in the middle. So I think here, if I'm Ryan Kelly, I go ahead and I short pit here and just come in now. And that's exactly what he's going to do. So I think that's the right call. Go ahead and get this done. Get your fast pair in. Here comes Brian Wing hustling it onto pit road as well. Somehow, caution's out actually.
Oh, caution's out. Okay, we were going to do a replay of that incident with the 510 there, but we'll take a second to watch that, see what happened off of turn number 2, see why that happened. But definitely looks like he gets trying to get crossed over to the inside and doesn't quite maybe clear him. Not sure, but we'll see it here, and we'll go to that action from the that brought out the yellow. But definitely, actually a bobble from the 13 there. The 13 was the one who got the most loose, and he kind of comes back down and slams back down to Rick Sanchez. So unfortunately, that was just maybe a mistake by the 13 there, getting a little bit loose and getting in there. But we'll jump back to that yellow flag action and see if we can get a replay of that as well.
And I haven't been able to find anything that stands out, so I'm wondering. I did see, I believe one car pulled off and towed because everybody else looks to be at pace. So the timing of this yellow is going to be very interesting because there was already cars on pit road and committed, and I believe they both got in and out of pit road before the leaders got to them. So we'll see here, but I believe this could net the 13 and the 05 as our race leaders here. And I believe Chris Passini going to be the wave around car, if I'm not mistaken, as well. Or actually Maxwell Caldwell, I believe it is.
Down, yeah.
Yeah, so Passini will take the wave around here because the leaders are all obviously going to pit here.
Yep. Yeah, so that was really weird. I think, I could be wrong, but I think what actually happened was it looked like the 510 of Rick Sanchez, when he came to a stop, that might have been what brought out the caution. Not entirely sure there. Don't know for sure if that is the case, but we'll have to wait and see. But it looks like everybody who has not already pitted is going to come down, and looks like some of the guys who have already pitted as well also going to come down. But the 13 of Ryan Kelly, he's actually staying out here. So he's going to try and see what he can do to, see what he can do to get up to the front of this pack. And he hasn't.
So I think
he did pit. He did pit just before the yellow. I'm sorry.
This caution is actually perfection for Ryan and Brian because they were on pit road as the yellow came out. So they didn't go a lap down, and the field all had to come in here. And so what this does is this puts Ryan back to the lead. Brian Wang jumps him all the way up into second. And then Sebastian Marin is going to come out in that third spot, the first car out of pit road, but on equal tires, though. So this is really shaking things up front here. It's going to bump Sebastian back a little bit, and it really gives Brian a lot of track position here for this last portion of the race.
Yeah, definitely. I think that also bodes well for Chris Passini, too, because obviously he already made his final stop a couple laps ago, about 7 laps ago, actually. But thankfully, he's going to get a natural wave around because it was the 94 of Maxwell Caldwell who went 1 lap down after making his pit stop. So thankfully for Chris, he was far enough ahead to get a natural wave around, so he'll get that wave around right before we go back to green. But Ryan Kelly and Brian, like you mentioned, the Ryan and Brian show, gonna definitely bode well for them. And I think they're probably the ones who have benefited the most, although they still do have Sebastian Marin, who will be just starting right behind them once we cycle out with the lead or the wave around car of Chris Passini, and I think the 65 of Ed Williams Jr. there. Unfortunately, not going to get the wave around because the Ryan and Brian show decided to stay out, so he'll drop to the back of the pack with the rest of the lap down cars. And Chris will rejoin the lead lap and probably restart from the tail end of the longest line. But yeah, definitely. So at this point, Gael, what are you thinking? Do you think you've made your final pit stop? Do you think that we're going to go to the end here? And who do you think has the best momentum or advantage on this, what could be the final restart?
I actually, you know what? No, I say if there's another caution in about 10, 15 laps, I think, actually, you know what? No, if there's a caution after, let's say, about 15 to go. So if they get a 10 lap run in, I think the field comes back to hit pit road. If there's a late yellow, I think definitely the field hits pit road again. But again, I think Todd Merkel, though, I think his hands are tied. I'm pretty sure he's got what he's got. But I'm excited to see what Brian Wang's got here because he hasn't really had track position all race long, and I know he's a very, very fast driver in that 05, but I don't think he's been able to really show it yet. So this is going to be a fun little competition between these front four for sure because, I mean, I know what Ryan Kelly has been able to do from previous seasons, and then Brian, Sebastian, and Kevin, they're all buddies. They're all in the same Discord. Like I said, there's going to be that inter-team rivalry between the three of them, so there's going to be a lot of fun here. So it's going to be fun to see. But then we're going to see also Maxwell's going to try to do a little bit of a recovery drive because he had to take that wave around as well. So it's going to kick off here, though, Boomer. 24 to go at the line.
Early start there from the 13, gets a jump on everybody. The 05 jumps down to try and grab some of that draft fresh off of the leader, Ryan Kelly. He is going to have a huge advantage heading into turn number 1 here. Brian Wang is going to make himself clear, and it looks like Sebastian Marin also going to make himself clear. The top 4, top 5 even now, single file, and that puts Ryan Kelly, Brian Wang, Sebastian Marin, Kevin Freese, and Todd Merkel in that top 5. Oh, there's a little bit of contact back there. Brandon Bernhardt a little bit sideways there, but the 2 car of Joshua Hanner sliding to the inside. Not sure what contact was made, but still back and rolling, and we are green. No issue there. A little bit of a headache, or a hiccup, I should say. Not a headache, but definitely a little bobble off of 2, and able to capture it for these guys and keep on rolling forward.
Yeah, I think it was just honestly a little bit of just a loose on throttle on the exit there. Cold tires still probably building up temperatures and just got a little greedy on the throttle, and it definitely started to kick out. But yeah, Ryan got a great start there. Still got a couple tenths to play with here. And now he's got Brian and Sebastian battling with one another. And that's, I think, right now what Brian wants to see is what Ryan wants to see is he wants to see Brian and Sebastian try to fight side by side, use their stuff up a little bit, but man, Sebastian just sends it into turn number 3, as does Kevin Freese. And I wonder if this is maybe Brian thinking long run here instead of a short run here. So it'll be fun to see kind of how these guys in the top 4 kind of ebb and flow over the course of these final 22 laps that we've got in this race. And then he mentioned kind of right now still again on his own island is that 22 of Todd Merkel here. Got a nice little gap in front of him, nice little gap behind him, but in a solid top 5 position here currently. Yeah,
Todd's had a fairly quiet but still a really good run tonight. Obviously mentioned that he took those tires super early on in that extra set that nobody else did, but so far it is working for him, and he's got a great showing for that in that number 22 machine. But it's still Sebastian Marin running down the 13 of Ryan Kelly as Seabass is just clicked off the fastest lap of the race. He had the fastest lap. He one-ups it with a 38.21 that last time by, and he is on the inside trying to make a move on the leader, and he looks like he's going to be clear through turns number 2, and we'll see if 13 can pull off the crossover. No, not quite. That spot goes to Sebastian Marin at the front of the pack. 21 laps to go.
And I think I saw that crossover look that he was trying to do, but Sebastian is just able to somehow keep that thing in check and able to hold on to that spot. So, again, just the car control some of these guys have is just phenomenal. But again, and now you were kind of back to where we were. Now you got Sebastian leading, but then you've got Ryan and Kevin again battling for that second position here. So it's going to be fun to see kind of do they settle in a little bit and say, hey, you know what? When we fought each other, that was actually hurting us. And I think the answer is they're just going to keep going because look at Kevin. He's trying to stay on that right rear of the 13.
Oh, he's right there.
Oh, loose.
Yeah, he was not going to give up that spot. but they still are able to keep it rolling. Definitely some aggressive battling for the two. They're really trying to get around each other, trying to steal that second spot. I mean, I think at this point they almost maybe know that Sebastian is probably going to check out here if this stays green, and they're going to be fighting for that second place. So I think they're really just trying to see who can try and grab that spot and stay there. But the 25 machine is going to battle really hard on that inside lane. Definitely going to be an advantage to the outside lane coming off the corner, so we'll see if the 25 can slide up, but there's enough room this time. The 13 should have enough momentum, I think, to maybe peek down on the inside and make a crossover move coming into turn 3. We'll see if he can do it. He's got a good run down the backstretch all over the bumper of the 25 machine, but not quite enough into the corner. The 25 is going to hold on to that second spot.
Yeah, so they settle in for the moment, and I think this is where Kevin probably does need to kind of turn the wick up a little bit, just put a little added pressure on Sebastian, see if maybe he can help try to get him to burn his stuff up a little bit more here, because again, still a lot of racing to go here, 18 more laps here at this 2-mile oval, so I mean, there's still a lot that can happen over the course of this one. But like I said, I feel like around this point now, they've run just under 10 laps since the restart. That's where I really do think still that if there's a caution, I would suspect we would see tires come back on these cars. And, man, I'm going a little further back because if you go to around Maurice Johnson, Carl Henderson, Seth Gruber, it is a hornet's nest right back here with these guys. I mean, they're still fighting just outside the top 10, but they are going after it tooth and nail.
Yeah, definitely a lot of action throughout the track, and it's going to be fun to watch. We should try and maybe do a quick moment to go through the field and update on you on some of those positions. But I've already mentioned this this top 4 battle really between Seabass, Kevin Freese, Ryan Kelly, Brian Wang, and Todd Merkel, also in the top 5 still. Joshua Hanners, we mentioned, was running in that 6th position in that Miller Lite scheme. James Ledford, Maxwell Caldwell, Brandon Bernhardt, and Chris Piscini now your top 10. Definitely a lot of pressure for Chris here. He's got Josh Laston, Carl Henderson, and Bob Fitzgerald there right behind them. And definitely, yeah, a lot going on there. A couple cars there in about 5 cars here. You could pretty much throw a blanket over there, but battling hard still. Chris trying to keep that top 10 position right now. Good run going for him tonight. Maurice Johnson there in the 322 machine. He is sitting in 14th right now. Gary Jenkins about a second and a half behind him in that number 90 machine with Seth Groover here in the O2 machine. Seth's actually, I believe, the first car 1 lap down, so he's kind of mixed up in this pack here. And then Ed Williams, 2 cars back from him, is also 1 lap down. And then we got Eric Laurie back here. Looks like he is also 1 lap down, so that's pretty much
and just caught the wall there too, and
yeah, unfortunately going to have to ride that out before he can get off of it. But definitely not a fun night for Eric there. Yeah, these cars are a lot to handle, and definitely can get loose on you pretty quick. And unfortunately, when you grab that wall, it's really hard to get off of.
Yeah, the thing with these cars, like you mentioned, of course, the Twisted Sister phrasing, is that's because these cars are not by any means symmetrical. And so it is super easy to get that right rear just to kind of touch the wall. And then at that point, it feels like it just grabs you and throws you into it. And that's an issue that a lot of these drivers are going to be facing with these cars. But you'd mentioned, though, James Ledford up to 7th. I say he's got Maxwell starting to charge after him now. And he's had a really quiet but steady charge up through the field here, like I said, in that chrome and black, kind of the gray ghost machine. Yeah, a little shinier gray ghost. As I say, that gets a little loose off too, but Maxwell will clear him. Maxwell flirting with the wall there too, and you can see right there, it was so close. They just tried to pull him into that wall, but he was able to keep it off. But yeah, it's been a really good, just kind of a slow climb for James. Really, I mean, we saw he got caught up in that incident earlier on in the race, but really, really good recovery out of that 48. It's also really good to see James back as well. He's definitely one of the original members of Area 51, so it's always enjoyable to see them make their way back to the league, and hopefully having a good time here tonight as well.
Yeah, absolutely great to see him, and yeah, I mean he's up 8 spots. He is technically our 4th highest mover, if you will. Sebastian Marin up 11. Kevin Freese up 12, and Brian Wang in the 4th position up 9. And then you got James there in the 8th spot, fairly comfortably in the top 10 right now, up 8 spots himself. So having a great run. And Bob Fitzgerald also up in the 13th position. He's also up 8 spots. So those are some of your biggest movers on the field right now, and definitely doing pretty well, clicking off laps here pretty close in this one, in this 80-lap contest. We've only got 12 to go, though, and Sebastian Marin, as we mentioned, 11 spots up, still continuing to lead, clicking off. I think at this point he's probably just about sealed the most laps led, I'd think there, Gael.
Yeah, I think you're probably right on that one. I believe he's been able to lead the most laps in this one. And yeah, then it's going to be the fight between obviously the highest climber, which right now Kevin's got it. Basically, if Kevin can hold on to second, he would still clinch that highest climber spot over Sebastian. So I'll have to keep an eye on that one. But the other one I was noticing was Maxwell and James Ledford. Maxwell got by James, but he has not been able to shake him. James is staying right there about 2 to 3 tenths off the back of him. And then you got Josh Lassen going after Brennan Bernhardt here, trying to get up into that 9th spot now. And you'd mentioned how the Chris Passini was doing a good job holding these guys back, because the other thing you have to remember is he's short pitted, so he has about 4 or so lap older tires than these guys. So unfortunately, say he had a bit of a deficit of tire wear going into it. So that's just one more extra challenge that he was having to face there. So he did a really good job holding on to it for as long as he did.
Yeah, for sure.
But unfortunately, I think those tires just started to show their age a little bit here. But man, that 09 and the 81, they're going after it here. And then again, the 48 and the 94, they've found each other once again. So we got some good battles throughout the track here. And then Kevin is just slowly but surely, just every couple hundredths of a second a lap, it seems like, trying to reel Sebastian in. And both drivers definitely starting to get a little squirrely on the throttle here on exit.
Yeah, definitely trying to keep up with all these battles on the car cameras here. But as you mentioned, they're only about 3.5 tenths of a second between Kevin Freese in second place and Sebastian Marin. Ryan Kelly's a little bit further back now, about 1.3 seconds off of the leaders. So he is not contesting as much for that second position right now, and he may eventually fall back to Brian Wang, who, Guile, you mentioned at the beginning of this last run here, was starting to fade back a little bit pretty early on. Who knows, maybe trying to save some tire and see what he can do to get back up at the front, but he's trending forward right now. But still, the fastest 2 cars on track are the 2 you see on your screen here. That's Sebastian Marin and Kevin Freese in the 23 and 25 machines with those Lowe's styled paint schemes. And yeah, they little bit of an advantage there still to Sebastian Marin. The gap grows to just over a half a second as there's a little bit of a bobble there, looked like, from Kevin Freese, and he's a little bit slow off of turn number 4, trying to hang in there. And unfortunately, looks like Sebastian Marin is just going to continue to dominate the later stages of this race.
Yeah, and that little bobble actually cost Kevin almost half a second. It was a 40.02 for Sebastian, 40.49 for Kevin. And then you look to Brian Kelly and Brian Wang. They were an 18 and an 09, so he lost tenths of a second. Just that little bobble adds up so quickly with these cars. That's just how on edge these guys are running these things here. But yeah, like you said, though, Boomer, we're down to single digits here, 8 to go, coming to 7 to go at the line. And again, I'd still think even if a late yellow here, I think you see the field all on pit road. But like you said, I think the one driver that wants and needs this thing to go green to the end is that 22 of Todd Merkel. Because like I said, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that driver is out of tires in his pits. So he's got what he's got to the end. I'm still been watching this battle here between Josh Lassen and Brennan Bernhardt. They have been pretty much running the same line here. As you can see, Brennan just flirting with the wall there in 1 and 2, and that's going to let Josh try to cut underneath him here. And this is the battle. I think this is the drag race that Josh has been looking to try to see if he can complete this pass. We'll see if he tries to pull a slide job here in 3.
Yeah, you can. So obviously the wall, once you get close to it, you'll definitely get to a point where it'll suck you in and really hurt the car. But up until that point, there's actually a little bit of an air cushion that iRacing has built into the sim, as the 81 is going to have a little bit of a run on down the front straightaway, and Josh Lassen's going to give him the room there on the outside. But you can get up close to that wall without actually running it, and there is a bit of a cushion there that will keep you pushed away against that, just like there would be in real life. But as soon as you make contact with it, that's when it really sucks you in, and there's nothing to do but hold on to that and pretty much just go along for the ride until you can get off it. But definitely a good battle here inside the top 10 for Josh and Brandon, trying to see what they can do to improve their position with only 6 laps to go.
Yeah, and then back up front to Ryan Kelly. He's been caught, like you mentioned, by Brian Wang. Brian's been able to start kind of picking up the pace here. Now he's only about a 10th behind there. So, Brian's going to want to get into that top 3, because he's going to want to talk to us about that paint scheme. I'm sure he's proud of it. So we'll have to see. But that being said, though, I mean, Ryan Kelly, he's got some some royalty up on his pit box, and that's going to be Larry Yingling. I say for those that are familiar with Area 51 and the Premier Series, say Larry is kind of one of the guys of Area 51. Was just kind of the Gabe Butler almost of the Oval Series. Just very mild mannered, soft spoken, but man, he just can wheel a car, and so. We will get to be graced with Larry's presence on track some, but tonight he is kind of helping out Ryan and doing a little bit of crew chiefing. So definitely look forward to seeing that. But these guys are going at it here with 4 to go here. They are side by side, but again, Ryan's got the outside line. He's got a little slide there off of 2, and again another drag race here down the back.
Yeah, definitely. You can definitely send it off a lot further into the corner on the bottom. But that outside line is a little bit more preferred as far as the run goes. But it seems like for the most part, these guys are not having any problems making passes on that inside. But the 13 there, you're going to see he's going to get that good run down the front straightaway, and he's going to get to at least the quarter panel of that 05 machine, where Brian Wang is just hoping to hear that spotter say door, bumper, and clear. We'll see if the 13 machine can make something happen in this high groove, just about a couple lanes off the wall, and looks like the 05 saved enough tire to try and continue to march forward at the end of this one.
Yeah, it's able to clear that spot and grab it. Meanwhile, a little further back, Maxwell still trying to hold on to James Ledford here. This is a battle for 7th and 8th. And then also a good battle between Brandon Bernhardt and Chris Piscini. Chris trying to get himself back into the top 10 here as we've got 3 to go, coming to 2 to go. Sebastian Marin, he just wants to get one more clean lap. He wants to see that white flag because then he knows this race will be official. So he's asking all these drivers to try to keep it clean. Oh, as they say that, James Ledford, big crash here. This will bring out a yellow. And that was exactly what I was about to say, what Sebastian does not want. And that is a late yellow here. And it is going to get wild. But first we got to see what exactly happened here out of turn number 4.
We will get that pulled up here. And it looks like we see the 94 machine on the inside lane off of 4. He just gets loose, continues to get loose, and the 48 machine maybe getting a little bit loose himself, gets down about a half a lane off the top, and unfortunately contact made for the 94 and the 48 machine. The 94 is going to send his way through the grass. And I don't believe there was any additional contact for James Ledford, but we'll have to watch and see as we actually know, there it is. Josh Laston coming in late into the picture there. Big hit for the 48 and the 09 machine, and the 94 sliding back up the track. Oh, man, definitely hate to see that. I think these guys are clear on the inside in the grass by then. We'll see the 81 gets around okay. The 1 machine of Chris Piscini slowing down enough to get around the sliding number 94 machine, and I think for the most part that is enough, and everyone will check up after that. But definitely a heartbreak there for Maxwell Caldwell and some of those guys that were having some pretty solid runs. Definitely James Ledford as well. Definitely a bummer to see those, and unfortunately for Josh Lassen, just not able to get checked up soon enough, and he's got nowhere to go, and gets collected in that one as well.
Yeah, and unfortunately you saw, too, what happened with Ledford was he got stuck on that wall like he talked about, and then as soon as he tried to pull himself off it pulled right off the wall and just right across the path of Josh. But the thing was, there was no yellow at that point, so you're afraid to back off and lose positions here. But here comes strategy time, and I also do see Todd Merkel hitting pit road, so we'll see if he does have tires left. I'm looking to see if any strategy calls anybody. I don't think I see anybody that should stay out. I think the only one is Seth Gruber, who should be the lucky dog. But here's the thing, though, Boomer. Again, we do have 3 attempts of a green-white checkered. However, do you consider maybe taking 2 tires? Oh, Brian just overshoots his pit stall in the 05 by a tiny bit. Also looks like the 2 overshoots his as well. So I'll be watching the 2 versus 4 battles. Anybody gamble? And answer is Todd Merkel is down and away. And I'm going to look to see, did he actually get any tires?
No, I don't think he did.
That car never lifted in the air, so I think fuel possibly only.
Although Brandon Bernhardt looks like he only took right side tires here, so that's a strategy call. The 81 machine only taking tires. So on the front row,
I like it.
Yeah, we're going to have Todd Merkel on old tires, but he filled up enough gas to make it the rest of the way just in case we do have any extracurricular activities beyond this first green-white checkered. But Brandon Bernhardt taking 2 right side tires, he was getting demoted outside of the top 10 there just before that final caution came out, or well, I shouldn't say final caution in case there's another green white checkered after this. But yeah, Brandon was starting to slow, to back up a little bit as Chris Passini was catching him and passing him for that 10th position. So I love the call by Brandon Bernhardt here. I mean, you've got nothing to lose. You may slide back 4 or 5 positions here if you can't hold on to it with the tires, and that still nets you 3-4 spots that you wouldn't have had before. So and if it works out, he looks like the hero. So yeah, we'll see if he can hold off. He's going to have Sebastian Marin and Brian Wang on the row behind them, so hopefully he can get ahead of Todd Merkel and cleared into turn number 2. But yeah, Gael, you thinking that we'll see someone like Sebastian Marin try and push the issue and go 3 wide on this restart into turn number 1?
Oh, yeah. My bigger concern is tire spin between the 22 and the 81. I mean, both these guys have, obviously the 22 on the inside line has the oldest tires. The 81's got rights only. Yeah, and Todd's just calling out.
It's going to be exciting regardless.
Todd's calling out right now. He's like, hey, I am on old tires, so I'm going to try to keep it low. But yeah, it's gonna be fun to see what these guys have in store for this one. This is gonna be wild, and like I said, we have potential 2 more attempts if we need it.
Yeah, definitely going to see. Hopefully, we can get it collected enough to make it on the first one, because I think that's gonna bode the most well for Brandon Bernhardt. I think if we go into multiple green white checkers, they're definitely gonna probably make it tougher on just those right side tires, but we'll see. I'm curious to see how high up Todd Merkel is going to stay. I mean, we know that he burned those tires early, and unfortunately he's going to have to pay for it here at the end of the race, but I don't think this is the worst position for him to be in without tires to be at least leading the pack to try and minimize that damage. So hopefully he can try and stay up there as much as he can, and who knows, if we get quick cautions and we never fully get to that white flag, and we do eventually end this race, who knows, maybe someone, maybe Todd without those tires can stay up front and make something happen. But we're going to have to wait and see, as the green flag or the restart is going to be under control of that 22 machine. Pace car is off. It is up to him to see when he goes, and we will watch him climb up through the gears. And there it is, the jump. He gets a good run, but the 23 car already to the inside lane, 3 wide as they cross the stripe for the restart. The 81 on the outside lane, he's going to have the spot for now. He's going to be cleared. They are going to be 3 wide going into turn number 1, and Brian Wang goes from the top floor to the bottom to the inside. He is going to take over that top spot and see if he can clear these guys and get a run out. Oh, a little bit of contact for the 81. Oh, man.
Oh, Ryan Kelly around. Caution is out. We're going to do it again. Oh, more caution in the back. James Ledford gets a shot at the end of there. Oh, that's going to collect the 90 car I saw. And then I believe there's another one involved in that one, Bob Fitzgerald as well. And yeah, just everybody's going for, it's a wide track, but when you get drivers going 4+ wide, there's only so much you can do there. And what happened to Sebastian was he tried to cut left and go low under that 22 car, but the problem is he cannot pass to the left before the start finish line, or he would have been black flag. So he had to slow it down. Yeah. And that gave that outside line a ton of momentum. So
see these guys 4 wide here on the replay. That is absolutely crazy. 23 got a little bit loose there, and the 81 had a decent run. Didn't go all the way to the wall, and I don't think that the 25 machine was expecting that. And you saw then that was where the 25 and the 23 kind of accordioned into each other, and unfortunately got hooked, or that did hook the number 13 machine. Had a big impact on that outside wall. See if we can see who else further back in this pack got stacked up. As you mentioned, I think the 90 machine got thrown to the inside wall, unfortunately. Probably a little bit of contact there. The 322 getting the 48 a little bit sideways there as well. And yeah, that's definitely I think this is where you're going to see the 90 car getting sent to the inside, unfortunately. But yeah, definitely a crazy restart there, Gael.
Yeah, no, and that's kind of what you expect to see at the end of these races. And of course, like I said, with everybody on differing tire strategies. So this is, so now we're going to do is, basically pack them up, do it again here. Hopefully some drivers are able to use their fast repairs if they still have them. Unfortunately, Ryan Kelly, he does not. Remember, he had that damage earlier that kind of forced his pit stall earlier on. So he's got to pretty much live with this left side damage that he's got on that 13 car. So it's unfortunately going to be a tough break for him and a tough result in that number 13. However, I believe it's a big break, though, for a couple of drivers that were able to get the wave around last time by. And I see Ed Williams Jr., he's on pit road. James Ledford, of course, getting service done to that 48 as well. I believe able to get his, oh, no fast repair, doesn't look like. And yeah, so then the other one is Seth Groover. He had actually got the wave around the previous yellow. Now he is going to restart up front with the leader. So, I mean, he was a lap down. Now he's going to be restarting around 12th here. So, also a big advantage for him. And then other drivers that were able to get through that fairly clean. Maxwell Caldwell is going to be up to 6th now. And he's got, you see those two drivers in front of him, the 25 and the 23, both have left front and right front damage. That's going to affect their aero, obviously.
Yeah, we're going to have to wait and see. This is going to be interesting. I think, I mean, the move by Brian Wang that on that first green white checkered, that may be the move of the race. He put the power down, went from the top floor to the bottom, and absolutely launched off of 2. Got all the chaos behind him, and he's sitting in the good spot. I think still Brandon Bernhardt is not in a bad spot either. He's still got those fresh right side tires with the rest of the field pitting for 4, but with the damage of the 23 and the 25 machine back there, I think that still bodes well for Brandon, so I still like the call that he made. Obviously, if we do a third green-white checkered, he may not have nearly as much as some of these other guys, but we're going to see. I think the 23 and the 25 machine are still going to do absolutely everything they can to send it into turn number 1 to try and win this race, but as of right now, it's kind of flipped the script, and it looks like Brian Wang is gonna be in the catbird seat, but we'll have to wait and see if he can pull it off.
Yeah, so you see if he can kick off the season with the win like the hood of his driver, Ricky Stenhouse. So maybe he can channel his inner Ricky to win the season opener here. Maybe not quite the Daytona 500, but I'm sure it'll feel good for Brian to get the win kickoff. But I mean, I look a little further back. I mean, look at now Josh Lassen. He's up to 5th. We mentioned Maxwell Caldwell 6th. Carl Henderson there sitting on 7th position. So Chris Passini in 8th. So, I mean, these guys, we saw them have pace early on as well. So now they've got some track position to play with as well. So these guys are all going to be battling for that top 5. And like we mentioned, the damage, we don't know how much the new tires may offset the aero issues for the 25 and 23. But again, we were hitting about 204. You mentioned going into turn 1 there, Maxwell. So I feel like that top end could be a concern for Sebastian and Kevin, but they decided track position definitely more important than that fast repair, which with a green white checker, I tend to agree with them here. So
absolutely.
We'll see. We'll second time around, we'll see if we get it done, or will we have to get to all 3 attempts?
I mean, if you're even at a super speedway with that kind of damage on the front of the car, like, you're still staying out because it's a green white checkered. So I don't blame the 23 or the 25 trying it. And who knows, this damage may not be too bad for them because they do have that fresh rubber on their cars. But the 05 gets an early jump. Green flag is back underway. The 81 gonna get swallowed up here. Looks like gonna be 3 wide already by the stripe. Brandon Bernhardt, nope, he's actually going to be 2 wide. He's just going to have the 23 to his inside. He's going to try and hold on to as much as he can here at the front of the pack. The 05 is starting to check out. Brandon's going to run up high, and the 23, and looks like the 25 now is also going to get inside. Maxwell Caldwell in the conversation as well. Restarting 6th there, got a good restart. He's now pretty much up to 4th if he can get clear of this 81 machine and be almost in the podium placings back again.
Yeah, this will be a really good recovery for Maxwell. I'll say kind of having the issue to bring out the green white checkers might actually benefit the most out of it. Because, I mean, obviously we know he's got pace, but it looks like they're going to make it to the white. You see Brian taking the flag. That's what he wants to see. And he's got some gap between those guys behind him. So Brian just needs to keep it clean for one more lap. But the question is, who will get these top 3 spots? Look at Maxwell. He's trying to get to the outside of Kevin. He's going to try to cross him over. But they're holding strong. Like you said, it looks like those fresh tires are offsetting that damage just a little bit.
Yeah, the 94 machine is trying as much as he can. He's going to see what he can do in turn number 3 and 4 here to try and make something happen. He gets to the inside, maybe a little bit of contact. He's on the apron, but they touch just a little bit. The 94 is not going to quite clear, and the 25 machine is going to be ahead of him for that final podium placing. But it is Brian Wang at the front of the field making the move on the first green-white checkered to go from the top floor to the bottom to take the lead ahead of the chaos, and he is going to take home that win. We mentioned that he had the smartest strategy tried to have the smarter strategy towards the end of the race on that last long green flag run to try and save a little bit of tire. You saw him working his way back up towards the front, but was not going to have enough laps to get it done. The caution comes out, and Brian Wang makes the move on the first green-white checkered restart to put himself in position to control the rest of the race, and he did just that, coming home victorious here at Michigan International Speedway. We're going to see him burn it down all the way down the front stretch, and he's going to got to be excited about this one.
Yeah, so it looks like he's done it before too. That was a really impressive slide there through the tri-oval into the grass there.
That's not as easy as it looks.
It really isn't. The other thing I've got to mention is the recovery drive. I mean, we talked about Chris Bassini just trying to hold on to a top 10. He finishes in 5th after all that. Got a great restart there at the end, able to grab a couple of spots and grab that top 5. So well done for him as well.
Brian Wang still continuing to celebrate, and looks like he's going to try and find victory lane on the front stretch there. Definitely a great race win for the 05 of Brian Wang, and it looks like they're going to park it there in victory lane. Looks like, I believe that's a Team Bootnaka Esports sweep of the podium there, so definitely a great first race of the season. It looks like we're going to get some dueling burnouts here from our top 2 finishers tonight.
Yeah, and I think with that too, we might as well do is we'll pull the trifecta in for the interviews together because that's kind of what we usually do when they're able to do what they've done is we get the 3 of them all in together. That's always the fun way to do it. So I'll say while we watch them continue to celebrate here, let's pull in that trifecta here of Sebastian Marin, Brian Wang, and Kevin Fries, and kind of almost reverse order, if you will, here with the way it ended up there at the end, Boomer. And so we're going to kick it off with you, Sebastian, because you were leading coming to 2 to go. You're maybe about halfway down the backstretch, or I can't remember how far you were, but caution comes out. We mentioned all you wanted to see was one more clean lap for the white comes out for it to be an official race to the end. I mean, what's the mindset? What are the thoughts when you see that yellow, knowing the gap you had and then knowing that it's probably going to get wild here at the end with that green-white checkered?
Yeah, I kind of expected there to be a yellow. Every time that the laps kept winding down, I was saying in my head, I'm just waiting for it. You know, the last couple laps, people are going to get antsy to try and get every position they can. So I wasn't too surprised that the yellow came out. I was just more surprised that, obviously Merkel had used up one of his tire sets early on, so he was out on old tires. And that kind of messed me up because I couldn't pass him before the start-finish line or I would have been penalized. So it kind of stopped me there, and then it put me in a very compromised position entering turn 1, went over the seam, got loose, and then we were 4 wide from there. And just looks like I think the 81 might have gotten a little loose and then just came down. I mean, we couldn't give any more room that we really did. We were 4 wide, and Kevin got squeezed into me, which turned me into Ryan, and it gave us all damage. So we were kind of a little screwed in terms of winning the race from there. So still to come out 1, 2, 3 for Team Bootnacker is still very impressive, but wish that yellow didn't come out because of course it would have been beneficial for me. But oh well, still a very fun race, and looking forward to the rest of the season. These cars are great, so can't say much.
Yeah, no, I mean it was definitely an exciting one, Ty and Kevin. And obviously you both of you had the issues there, but it seemed like it was almost a no-brainer for both of you. Decide, you know what? Nope, track position more important than trying to get the fast repair, put the clean fenders on the cars. Was there any decision to maybe consider doing it, or you guys knew track position was going to kind of be the be all and end all there at the end?
No, on a green white checker, especially unless there's going to be a huge difference in tire, you're not making up that many spots to get back to your spot. So it's just do what you got to do to hold people off and watch out for the dive bomb to the inside that is going to come because you're a little off in speed. But it was unfortunate, but it was still a fun race. These cars are just an absolute blast to have to wheel and be smart with with using your tires, not burn them up too fast because God, it's so easy to buzz the rear tires off in these things.
Yeah, we saw definitely a couple instances of that. And Maxwell never sent it in deep in turn 3 on the white flag to get a podium place. He
Oh
never likes.
no.
Yeah, he doesn't like to talk or do interviews. So I definitely
Yeah.
didn't expect to see anything like that from the '94 car.
Oh, I knew it was coming. That's why I was like, I'm just gonna take my line, and wherever he goes, I'm still going to my line. So what? Like I was expecting it, so it was a little easier. I didn't go down all the way that I normally would, but left a little room so that if he hit the flat, it didn't kill me. But yeah, I was expecting. It's just that nose damage killed any form of straightaway speed that Sebastian and I had, and I haven't looked at it, but I know I was expecting that car to just roll out to that top lane. But then when I pulled up the broadcast quickly on the pace laps, I saw there was a full lane up, and I was like, oh, that's why. And
Yeah,
I didn't
no.
know we were 4 wide.
Yeah, yeah, we saw the 4 wide, but yeah, I mean, and of course, I mean, like I heard you mention during the race. I mean, it's a gamble, and we actually both really like the gamble of trying the 2 tires, just because you're gonna either be around 10th or hey, maybe get some a little bobble behind you that kind of separates yourself from the field and gives you a chance. But you had mentioned these cars probably gets a
It's
little
evil.
extra evil on 2 versus 4. And I think
Very
that's
evil.
probably what
Yeah.
Brandon was dealing with there on that restart.
Yeah, it's not comfortable for the restart, and then it's even worse coming out of the turns. You think you're okay because it turns great, but the problem is it turns really great, and out of the corner it just wants to murder you. So you have to be smart with your throttle input, and I don't know if you got loose or whatever, but yeah, those things happen. You got to expect that in a race. We just really wish that caution didn't come out, man. Holy cow.
Well, I think the we is maybe a couple of you, but I have a feeling there's a certain Ricky Stenhouse face mobile there that is pretty happy about the timing of that yellow there, Brian. So, I mean, you had the restart you needed there, snuck through, kind of popped through the gap there when Sebastian got held up a little bit on the inside line, and you saw the chaos in your mirror there out of turn 2. I mean, when you see that, you know that another yellow's coming, another restart's coming. I mean, but are you kind of smiling, saying like, this is looking a lot better for me than it was about 5 laps ago?
Yeah, actually, it was kind of the other way around at least for the first green white checkered, because initially I really didn't want a yellow because my tires were pretty good, and I just passed Ryan and was kind of catching Kevin with like a few laps to go, and obviously the yellow came out, and yeah, I was just able to get the best run. Obviously, starting on the outside, I don't get penalized if I pass someone before the start finish line, so I just fully sent it and saw everyone wreck behind me.
Yeah, we saw that for sure. I mean, we saw then that last long green flun that you were kind of that run you were kind of backing up just a little bit, and probably could have had up to second place maybe there just with the better tire that you had saved. But
No.
I think okay, maybe not. But
I saw smoke every lap.
Yeah. Well, I will say what I was going to say next was I think the move of the race, though, was watching you come from the 4th or 5th lane down to the bottom of the inside and taking that lead away from Brandon there and getting ahead of all that chaos. I mean, it seems to me like that was pretty much the move of the race, and that was what cemented that win for you here tonight.
Oh yeah, that move was pretty good on that restart. Obviously the 81 was on the top and the middle was open, and I just sent it, and the bottom was open as well because Sebastian was on the inside, and obviously he had to lift more, so he had less speed through the corner. So yeah, I was just able to send it, luckily.
So we got to ask, what is the motivation for the Ricky Stenhouse Jr. paint scheme? Was that trying to channel the winner of the first race of the season for both Area 51 and for the Cup Series this year, or what was what's the reason behind the scheme?
No, I just made it as a troll paint scheme. I initially made one like over 2 years ago, and yeah, I've obviously put Ricky here on the entire front of my car to make it obviously way more aerodynamic.
I mean, I gotta acknowledge though the accuracy of it. I mean, he's got the hood pins right where his eyes are. I mean, there was attention to detail in this Boomer. I don't know how much it's going to pick up in the broadcast, but There was thought and detail in this, and I was mentioning to Boomer though. I feel like at least for the super speed or for the speedway cars, you almost might have to move the mouth up a little bit higher so it's kind of covered by the nose grill. So I might have to do a little potentially adjusting. But now that I see the eyes and the hood pin lineup, I mean that's just top work right there.
Yeah.
Don't compliment him. Don't compliment him.
He's just gonna make it worse. He's gonna come up with something crazy.
Yeah, he's gonna watch.
Put
Hold
Kevin's
on, I'll
face
make it
on the front
uglier.
of it.
Yeah. Brian, we'll put your face on the front of our car. How about that?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I agree.
We all know what picture is coming out.
That could be the
Absolutely.
theme, actually. So
I
I
think
have a
we-
challenge for you guys, Boomer.
I think we need to see that guy out.
Every
Oh,
yeah.
So basically it's a rotating
Yes.
it's a rotating three.
no.
So the winner of the race gets their face on the car for the next race. So
Oh,
basically
perfect.
Sebastian
Let me
wins.
run it. I'll be out front.
Yeah,
Oh,
and, then, so
so
then,
much.
and then 2 weeks of Sebastian wins that his face will be on the front of the car. So I think we've got a nice little challenge we've got here.
Okay,
Oh, boy.
Brian's on the car first then.
But yeah, we're gonna be kicking off with Mr. Wang up front. But before we let you guys go and get your Photoshops up and firing and on all cylinders here, we gotta of course give you guys thanks and shout outs. So Kevin, we're gonna kick it off with you, followed by Sebastian and Brian. So obviously, like I said, you guys obviously had a lot of fun here tonight. Didn't quite end how you're hoping to, but you were able to still all hold on and grab those top 3 spots. So definitely want to give you all the floor. So Kevin, we'll let you start off, man.
Yeah, thank you to you and Boomer for putting on the broadcast and the Area 51 admins for agreeing for this Gen 4 league. It's nice to drive a car again that requires a lot of skill. It's that old Xfinity series was a ton of fun. The only thing now we need to get is one person out of being a spotter and back on the racetrack with us. I think we all know who that is.
Yeah, I did mention his name in the broadcast, so hopefully he was listening, Larry.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely hope to see him on track for sure.
Yeah, and thanks to all the drivers. It was a fun race. I mean, thanks to Maxwell for spicing things up there at the end, making it interesting for all of us.
All right, over to you, Seabass.
Yeah, same thing. Shout out to you guys for putting on the broadcast and Area 51 for using the Gen 4s, like they said. Driving a car that actually requires a bit of talent, a little bit of wheeling. It's a lot of fun. So these cars are amazing, so I can't wait for the rest of the season. And shout out to all the drivers that showed up. It was a pretty decent field, a lot of fun. And shout out to the other boot knocker guys that were hanging out in our chat. Just hanging around, having a good time. So hopefully I'll be here next week to have more fun and hopefully have Brian on the car. So that'll spice things up.
All right, and so Mr. Hood on car, Brian Wang, I'll say any final thoughts on your end, sir?
Yeah, thanks to you guys, of course, for the broadcast. Everyone at Area 51, all of the drivers, the admins, everyone at Team Bootnaka. And I want to give a shout out to every single one of my totally legitimate sponsors on the car, including Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Texas, Uwu, the Lone Star State, Senpai, and Sussy Baka.
Oh, I love it. It's so much.
And of course, can't forget Hash Brothers Performance.
Yeah, so, you got to mention Hatch Brothers Performance. We know that one's a really good LS shop, so we definitely got to give them a shout out. Definitely hope Kevin and his brother are doing well, and yeah, hopefully we'll see them around here too as well soon. But yeah, great job though tonight, Brian. Congrats on the win. Like Boomer said, a great restart there to capitalize at the end.
Thanks.
All right, Gael. Well, that will pretty much do it for tonight at MIS. First race of the second season here on Thursday nights, the first Gen 4 season of the year. We've got 12 weeks on the calendar for this series. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we are just getting started, so lots of action throughout the rest of the season that you will not want to miss, I promise. But before we step away for the evening, we're going to take a second, pull up those race results for you. We've already talked to the top 3 drivers, all from Team Bootnaka, from Brian Wang, Sebastian Marin, and Kevin Freese. A great run for them. Also mentioning Maxwell Caldwell in the number 94 machine, able to come home in the top 5. Tried to make a move there on the bottom with Kevin Freese in the last corner, but wasn't quite able to make it stick. Got a little loose and just wasn't there, and wasn't able to keep it running and keep it side by side with Kevin Freese to get it there and get that top 3. But still a great effort for him. A little bit of a recovery throughout the night. We also mentioned Chris Piscini, who had some woes throughout the race, but he was able to recover as well for a solid top 5 finish tonight. Josh Lassen moved up 1 position there to finish in the number 6 position, with Brandon Bernhardt in the 7th position, holding on with that two-tire call or strategy, if you will. And I think that still was the right move to make to try and maximize some positions he may not have had there. But Joshua Hanner in the number 2 machine came home in the 8th spot with his teammate from Closed Circuit Racing, Carl Henderson, in the 9th spot with Seth Groover, the last car in the top 10 tonight in that beautiful blue Deuce machine. Gael, you want to take us through the second half of the standings?
I can definitely do that. Say, like you mentioned, after that, it was Seth Gruber in 10th. So then, second half of the field goes to, unfortunately, Ryan Kelly was in a good spot, just didn't have the luck at the end, got caught up in the incident, and was out of fast repairs. Ed Williams Jr., a really good recovery for him, jumps back up into 12th at the end after getting a late wave around as well, so a good break for him to get back up into the mix there. Gary Jenkins 13th, and unfortunately the lack of tires for Todd Merkel, that was what really cost him those positions at the end, 14th there. But overall, though, I mean, still a really good run for him. Just like I said, he's going to have to maybe he needs to have a crew chief up top, make sure he's not eating up those tires too early. We were concerned about a boomer, and unfortunately it kind of came to fruition there. Then you got Eric Laurie rounding out our top 15. And then unfortunately some of these other drivers didn't have the results they were hoping for either. James Ledford was battling for that top 7 or so position with Maxwell. Unfortunately, that contact kind of put him down the running order. And then Bob Fitzgerald there in 18th, and unfortunately early exit. Actually, I'm sorry, I completely skipped Maurice Johnson. Apologies, Maurice. Finishes in that 17th spot. It's like kind of a quiet night for Maurice, but at the end, I think these cars, a lot of them just getting used to it, kind of getting the rust shaken off, if you will, for these ones. So definitely still good to see him on track as well. Bob there in 18th, and unfortunately early exit for Richard Sanchez as well as Austin Call, which would be our 20th and final finisher for this evening.
Yeah, I don't think, or was Austin Call out early because it was an 80-lap race?
We went to overtime. So he was involved in that first incident, I believe it was, okay, and then wound up retiring.
Right. So because it was about 84 laps in the race with 2 green-white checkered. So unfortunate for Austin Call there, but. Yeah, definitely. A great run. You mentioned there's some guys that had some up and down nights. I mean, we saw some recovery drives from some drivers, and I still got to bring it up again. That move that was made by Brian Wang on that first green-white checkered, that was definitely the race sealing move after that final yellow, or second to last yellow, I should say, on that last long green flag run that came out. Definitely the move there from Brian Wang. And pretty much sealed the deal. He was able to stay ahead of that chaos and was not caught up in it, and pretty much smooth sailing. Thankfully for Sebastian Marin and Kevin Freese, damage didn't do them too bad, as they were still able to come home second and third. 12 positions moved up for Brian, 10 for Sebastian Marin and Kevin Freese, up 11 spots tonight. So the biggest movers in the field, and pretty much the guys at the front of the pack, maybe not necessarily in that order all night long, but the guys that were there throughout the night, all throughout the night, were there at the end too. So I think if nothing else, obviously Michigan, probably one of my favorite tracks to watch races at, just because it is my hometown track. Growing up in Michigan, so definitely a little bit biased, but a lot of great action on this 2-mile oval. But we've got more action coming for you next week. I am, if I'm not mistaken, will be at Charlotte
yes, sir.
On May 11th in 1 week's time on Thursday nights. So we've definitely got a long, fun season of 12 races on the schedule for you here. And should be a lot of fun going through this 12-week schedule with these Gen 4 cars here, Gael.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely looking forward to it. Yeah, you're right. So Charlotte next week. And then I say that we're going to shake it up a little bit. Pocono will be the next one there, and then bring it over to Iowa to finish up the month of May. So going kind of the cookie cutters to then a very different oval track with Pocono, and then shorter track at Iowa, to kind of get the half point of the regular season. Of course, 8 regular race season followed by a 4 playoff race, kind of like the old Chase, where they're going to go ahead and do basically the best out of those 4 races. So for those that run the Super Speedway Series, all very familiar with it. Most likely will be the top 12 in the points. Just depends on the kind of the showing of drivers and such, to make sure we're not pretty much just throwing everybody in, but we'll kind of get that settled as we need to. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to it, and I'll say we'll see if we can find you some extra talents behind the booth as well, because I say one of these ones like tonight is like, man, it definitely gave me that itch to get behind the wheel again.
We'll see. Homestead is the final race of the season. You might need to put someone else up in the booth for me, even for that one, because I don't know if I'm gonna want to be out of the car for that. But yeah, definitely should be a lot of fun. I mean, I'm really excited to see that we're doing this here at Area 51. These cars are, something that iRacing kind of teased as what they said was a mistake, but there's no way that releasing a 900 horsepower version of one of the most fun to drive cars on the sim was a mistake. So definitely excited to see that we've got this in the service, or on the service here at iRacing, and these cars are going to be a handful and an absolute blast to watch all season long. So that'll do it for race 1 here tonight, though, at Michigan. Please stay tuned, as we are going to have so much more action throughout the season. As we mentioned, Charlotte and Pocono the next 2 weeks on the schedule, so come back on Thursday nights. We've also got a broadcast for Sunday nights as well. We moved back to the Xfinity car on that Super Speedway Series for Sunday nights, so there's going to be a lot of action that you're used to at Area 51 on Sundays. I'll be moving, obviously, from the booth on Sundays here to the booth on Thursday nights, so appreciate that opportunity to represent Green White Checker TV and Area 51 week in and week out. But for myself, Boomer Logan, and for my colleague Gael Brooks, thank you all who joined this broadcast, either on replay or live, and everyone in the chat and hanging out and being a part of this. We appreciate every single one of you that helps out in the league, and we obviously couldn't do this without you guys, so it's a pleasure to be here, and we have a lot of fun doing this, so thanks to all of you. We hope you have a wonderful week. Again, we hope to see you next on Sunday in the Xfinity Series on the Super Speedways, and we'll see you back here in 1 week's time. Take care and have a great week, everyone.